All right. Thank you for joining us on the 2020 Spring Coaches Calls, the first one of the spring season. We have here Dan Manson, Commissioner for National Cyber League. And then we also have Fred Stinchko. He is one of our new player ambassadors. And I am John McGill. They call me Mako after the shark, which was affectionately given to me by the National Cyber League players. And I've definitely adopted as kind of a second persona now.
You have a killer instinct, right?
What's that?
You have a killer instinct.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with how fast I run my mouth. But, you know, so yeah, we're here to talk today about different coaching techniques and, you know, coach.
Pardon my dog.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it might be mine. So we're here to talk about different coaching strategies and maybe some lessons learned. We'll definitely take some time to listen to the audience and kind of get an idea of, you know, what kind of questions you guys are looking to hear. I have set up a couple polls that'll give us an idea of who we're talking to give us a better way to, you know, gauge our content to the audience. You want to go ahead and take a look at those polls. And obviously, if you have a question, there is a button at the bottom that says Ask a Question. What that does is when you click on that, it allows us to tag that answer in the timeline. So our marketing department can go back and, you know, put it in as a answer like a bookmark in the file. Another thing I want to mention is that this crowdcast will be archived and as soon as it's done, and you'll be able to view it offline. So if you missed the first part of it, or, you know, if you need to step away for the second half, then you'll be able to cover all the material at a later time. So let's go ahead and just kind of get a quick intro from each one of you. We'll start with Dan. Just give us a background of what NCL is, how it got started, where you got into all this, and you know, wherever else you want to go with that.
Thank you, John. I'm Dan Manson. I'm the commissioner for NCL. I've been around since the beginning. It was actually a grant objective back in 2011 for CyberWatch West. I was in charge of student development, and this was my main student development activity. The folks that started NCL, they had a lot of experience with collegiate cyber defense competition, but we really wanted to have something much more inclusive. So we wanted a competition that was run like a season where everyone can play from beginning to end, that you can be playing, even if you're just taking one class. You don't have to be a full-time student. Doesn't matter what you're studying. And we wanted this to be something that was a community. And I think over 10 years, we've built a really, really cool community. I really believe that what we're doing this year is going to blow people away. We're going to have content 6 days a week. We're reaching out to more and more schools. We're at more and more events. We're going to be at WESIS again in March. So I'm really excited for what NCL developed into. So,
that's me. Sorry. I'm going to turn my phone off.
All right. So are you ready over there, Fred?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. I just didn't want to direct a question at you and not have you ready for it. So, okay, we're going to turn the table over to you now. What's your experience with the NCL, and how does that how does that integrate with coaching?
My name's Fred Stinchcombe. I'm a high school teacher in Delaware. I teach in a school full of girls, 600 girls. And I inherited a Cyber Patriot team 10 years ago now. And so I got involved in the kind of coaching the cyber defense side of things. And I kind of thought, it's a bit dull. It's very samey. And so I was looking around for competitions that the girls could compete in. There were a little bit more red team. And at the time, NCL was only open to college students. So it was kind of like, oh, this looks really good, but we can't get involved in it. And then, of course, it got open to college students, so we jumped in on it straight away. we are now, I think we'll be coming up on our 3rd season of competition, and the girls love it, and that's kind of my standpoint. I enjoy it because I don't know everything. I'm a coach. I've never really competed in it because I got my degree. Yeah, my diploma was given to me on a stone tablet. So I enjoy learning the new stuff with the girls. So
you raised a great point, Fred, that I want the coaches and the audience to understand. You really don't have to be a subject matter expert to be a good coach, to be a fantastic coach. You're facilitating for your students. So you're not the traditional teacher that's lecturing. You're really the one that is helping them learn from each other and letting them go out in the playing field and show what they can do, which I think is a great metaphor for learning cybersecurity.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point. And I'd like to actually field a question from our audience. Crystal Schwartz is asking if there is a step-by-step learning guides for beginners. How do you get started with this whole thing? Is there anything out there to help new coaches?
Can I get in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hit the gym. The gym is just an amazing resource, and I use it as a teaching aid for a lot of the problems. The fact that it gives you the solution should be your first starting point. And once you kind of get into that kind of thing, then as a teacher, you're going to come up with similar problems just to reinforce the method. So the best thing I can say is just get in the gym, do a workout.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And take advantage of what we're doing, that the content we're going to be delivering to you 6 days a week. It's really going to be easy for you to get into the game this year.
Yeah, hit some of the crowdcasts where they're doing subject specific. I enjoy watching them because I learn new stuff, and then I can take that back into the classroom and do fun stuff with the kids. So yeah, definitely look up the students or the competitors' crowdcasts, and then learn from that, and then take that back to your students.
That's a great point. And I guess that kind of brings up another question that I've heard asked before. What's the role of the coach? Do you need to be the technical guy, or do you need to be the team builder guy, or is it kind of a combination of both? Can you really effectively coach if you don't know the material that well, or is there kind of a need to be the technical, the smartest guy in the room kind of thing? And we'll start. Yeah, we'll start with you, Fred.
Personally, no. We compete in a lot of different. I hope I can go kind of slightly off NCL. We compete in just about anything that's got the phrase competition with it. So things like Pico, for instance. This year we were hardcore into Pico, and I think it's, at least with the team members I coach, sometimes it's like, look, we've got this problem, so let's sit here. I don't know how to solve it. You don't know how to solve it, but maybe between us, we can throw things on a board and go assembler, for instance. There were a lot of assembler problems. So I stopped class, and we've, as a class, picked apart an assembler program and got to the same conclusion together. So no, when you're coaching, it's almost like being one of the team members. I would hope they don't expect you to know everything. Otherwise, it's going to be a really boring competition. So yeah, no, sometimes it's actually better to make that kind of culture of, when you're coaching, everybody's working towards the same goal, and you're learning as well. You're actually taking part in that learning experience. So I would say no, not in my experience anyway.
Dan, how about you?
Well, the two words I like to use for a coach is a passionate facilitator. And I've known some of the top college coaches and high school coaches in the country. One of my favorite coaches teaches at a high school by Cal Poly Pomona, Troy High School, Alan Stubblefield. And he has over 300 students that play Cyber Patriot each year. He has over 60 students that play NCL. And he had students that were in the top 3 for silver. He had a student play at gold. So his method is peer learning. The students teach each other.
Yeah.
He provides the environment for them to learn, but they're the ones who end up teaching each other. And I think that's an important thing for a coach to understand. Coaches are not like traditional teachers. You're not the ones that have the textbook with the answers. Your job is more to get them passionate about playing the sport. Get them into it, and they'll drive each other. When you have good players, the players motivate each other, and I think that's your goal.
Yeah, I've also been a coach for Cyber Patriot, and well, actually, I'm a technical mentor, and there is a little bit of a difference between technical and mentor and coach over there. And being a technical mentor, I am expected to be, the guy who knows, right? And it's really great if you can build that kind of partnership in where even if you're leveraging some senior students or something like that, put that on them. I feel give them some leadership opportunities, give them the ability to learn through teaching. And I definitely think that the role of the coach is, more focused on motivation, avoiding burnout, maintaining order, and kind of giving a framework. So I think that those are all kind of really important coaching pieces. Now, Fred, you actually have a PowerPoint on this, and I want to give you a couple times to go through some talking points. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen, and we'll go through that real quick if you are ready for that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Are you going to slide?
Yeah. Just tell me when you want me to go forward.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, just move it one. Yeah, okay. So what I gave this presentation at a local university. That's not me that time. And they had no background in cyber competitions at all. For a group of undergraduates, my question was like, do you want a job at any point in this field? So I kind of went through bit by bit the kind of things that they were going to come up in NCL. Now, one of the offshoots for that is because I teach high schoolers, this gives you a great taster of everything. Just the breadth of possible skills that you can go into inside cybersecurity today. So girls have now actually found what they enjoy and are now pursuing majors in things like forensics because they like pulling things apart. They like analyzing network traffic or logs and that kind of thing. One of my students is looking for a major in OSINT. She's not going to find it, but she's got a real brain for kind of digging up information about people, mainly online. So it gives you that kind of real breadth of experience. And then when it comes to the team side of things for NCL, you can dive down. You can say, okay, I'm part of this team and I'll do OSINT and crypto because I really like it. You do the bit that you like. And then cross-learn it. So I love the fact that it's broken down into these neat little packages. So if you go forward one, this is just like, and I'm sure Kate's going to kill me for going, it's just advanced Google usage. There is a Linux distro called Buscador, which is got lots of OSINT tools. We've never really used it in conjunction with the NCL, but my senior who's really into OSINT uses it all the time for her projects. I like the open source intelligence gathering stuff. It gets you into the swing of the fact that you're in the NCL now, and it gives you that kind of almost kind of light start before you end up digging through Wireshark files. Yeah, I always start with the OSINT stuff. I mean, admittedly, I think it's always the top of the list, but it's good. It's good to dig around with things. So if you move on. Crypto, So for all your decryption of messages and Stego needs, and if you do anything with Pico, there's computing of RSA keys, which I cannot do, but one of my juniors is absolutely amazing at. So it's like, if you want help, talk to her. And it works really, really well like that. So they all go to her for assistance. So we'll move on again. Scanning, Nmap, it's pretty standard. And one thing I will say is, like, going back to like, I don't know anything, just with a small amount of knowledge, you can do the easy tasks. And it gives you that kind of foot in, and then you'll start to feel that, I can push myself to one of the sort of medium tasks now. And then you'll suddenly get the feeling exactly the same way that the students get. And you're like, I need to learn how to do this because it's fun. Scanning isn't, but okay, we'll move on. Log analysis, yay. Isn't one of the blogs coming up like using Excel for log analysis?
I'm actually writing a blog right now, which is called Cutting and Carving Logs in the NCL.
Oh, there you go. And again, I go back to the competitor crowdcasts and the blogs. Just read it. It'll give you tons of information of how to actually get into this and start working on it. And you won't, your accuracy is going to be awful the first few times you have a go at it, but then you'll get better and you'll see you're getting better. And that's a fantastic feeling. So we'll move on to log analysis. Wireshark is your friend, or CloudShark. Digging through log files, learning about networking protocols, use it in a networking class to actually show people what's going on in the background. Fantastic tool. And then you'll be able to find messages that are embedded in data streams or pull files out. There's a couple of the tasks before. And again, move on. Password cracking. Am I going to get in trouble for putting John the Ripper up there and not, what is it, Kane?
Yeah.
Oh.
Everyone has.
You can have a go at me for this.
Yeah.
And again, password cracking. I picked this up from a crowdcast that I actually watched, the Law and Order SVU episodes.
Oh yeah.
I watched one of the crowdcasts and people were complaining that one was a little nasty.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're into programming, learning how to leverage Python in a wider context, then that's fantastic as well. So that leads you into your programming classes and some actual example-based learning. So move on from that. Digging into wireless. I do like the fact that it's labeled as wireless access exploitation. So you think like, I'm going to break into someone's access points. But it tends to be kind of more of a forensic-y thing, doesn't it? Am I talking rubbish there?
No, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay.
The exploit's already happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're actually, it's more of a forensic-y style one. So you're looking at what's going on inside, and looking for possible exploitations. So I'll move on again. Yeah, this one's like, whoa. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the crowdcasts on this one and the binary ones, because this is like, I go, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Tell me how you got it.
So yeah, it's kind of been one of those categories that in the beginning I put off to the very, very end to try to even, work on. But I do like that the NCL gives you like baby steps, right? You can try the very easy web application exploitation, and when you feel confident with that one, try to attempt the next one, right? I'm always amazed at the solutions that come out at the end of the year. They seem so common sense, and yet they never appear in my brain at all.
Absolutely overthinking. Just this has to be much harder than it is. No, it's not. And again, back to the gym. Hit the gym for the easy ones. Get something under your belt. Learn the tools. Find the tools that are going to help you, because if you're floundering, there's probably a tool out there that will, give you that little bit more of an insight. Move on again. Yeah, I'm not a programmer, but I found that given that I don't teach programming, I actually quite like picking apart other people's code. So just being able to follow the logic, even if you don't teach programming, and again, I love working with the girls to pick apart the logic of someone's code. And they learn more about programming, picking apart someone else's code than actually bashing out Hello World programs in various languages. So I quite like that one. You want to move on? And then, yeah, Gahidra. Yay.
Definitely digging into the assembly. And,
yeah, for all your heart. I've actually
yeah.
got one of my seniors who's doing an assembler class at the moment. And she's doing it specifically. She's getting school credit for it, but she's doing specifically for her competition play. Just because there's no one, she found a niche that there was no one that was particularly good at the binary exploitation side of things. So she thought, I'm going to learn that. It's a great skill. She's going into forensics. So she's going to be doing malware analysis at some point. And so that will help her in college, and it will help her teammates in having somebody who can say, right, I can pick up that and I can run with it. So I think, oh, okay. I think, is that the?
Okay.
Yeah, why do it? There's a synopsis.
Yeah. Okay. So is that the end there of your show?
Yeah, I'm good for that.
All right, cool. Well, we did have a question come in the middle of it, and I want to go ahead and field that one here real quick. And what we have is Aaron, I'm going to butcher this name, but I think it's Sarnecki. And it's, can I speak personally with someone on how to exactly set this up for my students next year? I'm running a cybersecurity class next year. Dan, do we have anything one-on-one?
We have Stephen Miller, who is our NCL Chief Coach Ambassador. There are other coaches I could connect you with. I think Fred has great ideas on coaching, but there are several people that run it in their classes that I know that I could help you connect with. So just reach out to me.
And how do they reach you, Dan?
How do they reach me? info@nationalcyberleague.org works. dmanson at cpp.edu works. LinkedIn also works. So connect with me on LinkedIn. That makes it really easy, and go from there.
All right, great. Thank you.
Or reach out to me. I think our details for the ambassadors is going to be published quite soon. So yeah, if you reach out to me, I've got tons of. I can blow your email up with tons of information. You'll be sick to death of receiving emails from me by the end of it.
All right. So let's see here. I want to go through kind of a top 10 tips kind of thing, right? Of just things that you as a coach have, really kind of implemented into your programs. And maybe I'll just to kind of prompt that a little bit. What is the importance of establishing like individual relationships with students? Is it something that is discouraged at your particular place, or is it something that you find brings value to your program?
You want me to go with that one?
Sure. Yeah.
We've got our community for cybersecurity in our school is quite small, so you can't but build those kind of personal relationships. And I'm in my role as a high school teacher. I have to give a lot of advice with regards to college and on. So you get involved. In that way I think you can advise on which facet of the NCL is best for that student, which you think they'll get the most enjoyment out of, and which fits their mindset. So I think that would come later on when you're picking teams. And in the blog that I'm writing, there's the rationale between the two kind of distinct teams, like team of friends or team of people that are going for the kind of leaderboard. So yeah, I think having a better knowledge of the people you're coaching, it's always going to be of benefit to you and the team. Ultimately, you have to build that community.
What about you, Dan? Do you think that there should be a wall between coach and players, or do you think that that's something that is maybe
something to really keep in mind? This is one of the most important things that I can say on being a coach and how to play the game. Before the game, coaches and players should have very good communication, should be talking to each other. Players should be talking to each other. During the game, players should never, in the individual game, have any communication with each other. The coach really cannot have communication with the players during the game. After the game, players can talk to each other, coaches can debrief with the players, and I strongly encourage the debriefing process. I think that's one of the most important things a coach can do with their players is to debrief after the game is over. But please keep in mind, during the game, in the individual game, each individual player is on their own. No communication with each other. In the team game, each team is on their own. No communication with others outside the team. But the coach is vital to make sure that the players are registered, that they are assigned to the coach, and that they are getting the full benefit of the coach preparing them to play the game. And then after the game, they're getting the full benefit of the coach debriefing with them, helping them understand what it was like and preparing them for the next game. Just remember, when you're on the playing field, you're on your own.
So, as kind of a follow-up to that, Fred, how do you keep the games fun? I mean, it's so learning centric and it's so isolated, and how do you keep the fun in the game or in the training?
Well, in the training, it's really the joy of learning something that probably someone would not like you to learn. Especially with the exploitation. If you did that on someone else's code, you'd go to prison. But you can get that kind of, I've beaten that problem, and that's what drives my students really. It's the love of finding a solution to a puzzle, and then maybe the love of finding it slightly quicker than one of your friends. Especially in the training, there's a lot of I got that first kind of thing. To ridiculous extents in some cases. So the fun bit is the community side of things. It's a group of friends that have a common goal, that are getting together for a team event or in training, are getting together to try and beat some problems. So that's really where the fun comes from, and it's infectious. You get it from them. You get it when you're in the gym because you've got 5 minutes spare and you want to just try out one of the new things. You might want to make a class out of it. So you're like, I'll see if I can work this out on my own. Oh wow, I got it. Great. Now I'm going to go in there and tell them, hey, this is what I did to get it done. And you're not always going to do that. I think it's the fun comes from the competitions. And I spoke to one of my juniors, snacks. Food.
Snacks always help, right?
Yeah, snacks. Yeah, there's
simple things a coach can do for their players.
Yeah,
make sure that they have some snacks and that the room is a nice room to play in. That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the bond, and once the team events are over, obviously, if you've got multiple teams, we're quite a small school, so we probably only field 2 teams. It's that. Oh, you didn't get that one. Oh, we did. And I obviously I can, and this is how we did it. Here's a method for you. And then you'll learn something. And then maybe next time I'll learn something from you, and that'll improve me next time as well. So it's real community. Let's face it, you're not going to get, I don't know, some schools, Troy is a bit of I would presume a bit of an aberration, really, like 300 Cyber Patriot kids.
They are in a league of their own. They have a cyber banquet at the end of the year with 300 alumni and players and parents. It's like like a football banquet.
Again, but you've got that sense of community, and then you've got that sense of fun of participating. Just like if you're a member of the football team, the basketball team, you have that team membership mentality and that sense of fun for participating in something that you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And one-upmanship if you can beat a team that you've been looking at trying to reel in from the last competition.
One of the cool things, I don't want to talk much about Troy, but this is something really cool, and I think any school that plays for a period of time can do this. What they do at their banquet is they have all the seniors, all the ones who are graduating, come up to the podium, say how many years they've played, and what was their most memorable moment. And, you know, we can have players play for 6 years before college now. We could actually start them in 8th grade.
Wow.
And have them play through senior. That kind of bonding that you get even before you get to college, the talent we can develop and the lifetime friendships they can develop through an NCL is just really, really special. Same thing with college. You know, those that play 4 years in college are going to have that same bonding experience that anyone who plays the sport. But it's what you do over time that matters. Don't look at NCL as a one-season experience.
So looking at our polls, it looks like we have mostly first-time coaches on the call, and then a couple that maybe a couple seasons under their belt. And it looks like we're having not many people answering as far as like using NCL in the classroom. So maybe I could get your take on that, Dan. What's the easiest way to implement NCL into the classroom?
Well, if you're teaching a class that needs a hands-on component, NCL is a perfect hands-on component. Mm-hmm. If you're teaching a class that relates to one of the entry-level certifications, you know, the Security Plus or Certified Ethical Hacking, you know, it's a nice supplement. So if you're teaching a class that requires knowledge of some of the areas that are in NCL, you know, log analysis or web application exploitation. So if you're teaching a web development class, it fits in, because why would you want your students to learn how to develop websites without appreciating how they can be compromised?
I like that answer. Let's see. Now, I've seen some of the different strategies as far as like, you know, some in my college experience, you know, that if you participate in NCL, then you didn't have to take a midterm. Or, you know, based on, you know, your participation in NCL, if you had so many points or whatever, then that contributed toward your grade. Or I've seen it used as extra credit in some cases. Have any of those models worked for you? We'll take it with Fred. Or how do you put NCL in your classroom?
Well, we actually have a class that's entitled Cybersecurity for Competitions. So there is an expectation that you will compete in the NCL. You will also do PICO, Cyber Patriot, Girls Go Cyber Start, which is starting soon. So it is ingrained into the actual course itself. That is the expectation. For the others, it's great. Our ethical hacking class, for instance, it's great if the course material we're going through scanners. The gym provides problems for you to work on, and problems that you know are going to work. The issues that I've had teaching cybersecurity classes before, you get your textbook. It's a great textbook. It's 2 years out of date. All the websites have gone or they've changed. So you know that someone else is keeping this content up to date. So you know that the machine that you're scanning is going to be there. So you don't end up kind of red-faced and looking a bit stupid at the front of the class because your lab just blew up in your face. So yeah, I use it for the competitions class, a bit for the ethical hackers, and really just as like, hey, try this out, see what you like, and then come and join our little club. We have snacks.
John, I want to make a point about having it be part of the grade. The real value of NCL is not your score. The real value of it is your experience, is your learning what the process you go through to play. So I kind of try to steer coaches away from saying, well, your top score is an A, and you do it that way. It's the playing that matters more than the score.
Yeah,
Good
we
point.
give
Yeah, really good.
participation grades out. There's no point, because how do you slide that? There are going to be goals that in NCL that I can't achieve, and I can't expect my students to do that under the pressure of, oh my God, I might not get an A for this because I don't know how to do the hard web app exploitation problem. So no, it's mainly participation, and it's like, hey, look, everybody can do the easy one. The skills that the girls have, they should be able to do the easy ones. So like, let's get the easy ones out of the way, and then let's drive forward.
Kind of an associated question is some of the challenges that come up with trying to integrate NCL into the classroom. And I know for like Cyber Patriot, for example, one of the things that we see often is that there's a checklist that you have to go through to make sure that it clears all the firewalls and all the restrictions that the IT department puts on. And Aaron, I'm going to go back up to this pronunciation. Zarneki Kai. I hope I got it that time. Zarneki. He asked, how do you get around installing additional software onto your computers, such as Wireshark and Snort, etc.? Obviously, IT departments, that's their bane, right?
Oh, yeah. If you work in a draconian school district, they're going to nail their machines down, and you're not going to. The Wireshark's not so much of a problem because you implement CloudShark for NCL activities. So you could just run it in the kind of web front end of that. I'm the director of technology for the school, so I don't really suffer from that kind of problem. And we have dedicated machines for competitions. So
that's a great suggestion.
The school has kind of put their flag in the ground to say that we're really going to push this forward, especially given the gender disparity in cybersecurity. So I can't really advise on that, but I know that you're not going to have problems with Wireshark because it's embedded in the actual game itself.
That's a great point. And one of the things I'm sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Aaron brings up VMs. So this is a virtual game, and the question is, do you have them set up? Do you set up VM for them? So how do you both of you? How do you use VM?
Our actual gaming rigs, they are set up for Cyber Patriot mainly, but we will also have, say, Kali VMs based on them as well, just in case there's some obscure tools that they need, or just a better tool than whatever Windowsy nastiness people happen to use. I just had a thought as well for a lot of the Stego and the crypto. There's loads of websites that you can use. It's just knowing which websites are actually going to give you the results that you want.
So I've actually solved some of the NCL challenges with online password cracking tools. I was at one point I had to do a National Cyber League, and I was traveling across country in the back of a minivan, and I had one laptop plugged into the alternator in the back, and I was running everything off my Wi-Fi hotspot, and I was running everything off of a tablet, and I was still able to compete because NCL really does kind of try to put a very specific effort on competition in a box, right? That you don't need a whole lot of additional stuff. Now, that is to say that you can gain quite a bit, from being able to build your own virtual machines and put those industry standard tools in there to kind of teach them what's actually being used in the industry, and get them comfortable using the tools that they might use on a job, for example. And I think that's one of the things that I really try to do is push that idea of build your attack box in a virtual machine. And I think it's just good security to kind of keep your tools all contained. It also allows you this really nice sandbox that if you mess something up, which I have done by trying to uninstall like SE Linux, that was horrible, by the way. Don't ever do that. But it allows you to just kind of reset the whole virtual environment. I know that's something that Cyber Patriot uses. It's a great advantage. They are able to give a scenario, or a challenge. They push it down in the form of a virtual machine. You host that up, and that's your interaction. And if something goes wrong in the middle of the competition, you can always reset it, recover it, and I like that so much that I've kind of started pushing that in like my cyber club and kind of some of the other things that I participate in, where you can actually, for practices, generate your own kind of challenges, put them in a virtual machine, and then you can recycle those challenges over and over again.
Yeah, I would definitely just the ability to trash your machine and not actually trash your machine. You'll learn not to trash it once you've reinstalled Kali 6 or 7 times. You'll really like, that'll be like, well, yeah, I don't want to do that again. Well, don't break it then. Experiential learning, I think that's what they call it.
A question here from Doug about tools. So what are the tools that you use, and are they pretty easy to get a hold of?
Well, yeah, Wireshark, Stego. There's lots of different freely available tools out there. I mean, if for NCL, you wouldn't want to be buying anything. Most of the tools.
Yeah, my understanding is, you can really get free versions of the tools that you need to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's always tool equivalents too, right? Like I know Burp has a professional license, and I tried to do one of the challenges once, which required some basic fuzzing, and it was just taking a long time in a Burp free version. And so I jumped over to like OWASP Zap, and it has the same functionality, and it was able to rip through the challenge in a tenth of the time because of the restrictions they built into that free version. So I think it really, the right tool is the tool that you can get a hold of, and the one that you know how to use. So there's so much duplication from people writing their own tools and their own scripts down to these professional tools. But I definitely agree. I don't think that you should necessarily feel like you have to go out of pocket, to buy these expensive programs to do any kind of testing or recon or anything like that. In my experience of doing the games, I've never had to buy anything per se. Just it's always kind of been whatever's freely available. So I think that's one of the advantages actually of National Cyber League, that again, they try to put this competition in a box mentality.
If you look at Doug's question for NCL stuff, if you think about it, the open source intelligence gathering just needs good use of a web browser. Binary exploitation, Gehidra's free. You can run it on just about anything. All of the OWASP stuff is basically free. Wireshark is free. So yeah, I mean, even if you're looking for NCL specific tools, again, go to the gym, see what they recommend in their solutions, and then you can build your gaming rigs through that. So
great. So we're wrapping up. We're coming up on the end of the program here, and I wanted to give everyone just kind of a little 30 seconds to kind of pitch what you're doing right now, what's important to you, what's coming up, and then just kind of give like maybe your contact details, so if people have a follow-up question, they're able to direct that. So who wants to go first?
I'll let somebody else talk.
All right, Dan, we'll go with you.
I just want to emphasize that what we're doing now is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. That we are going to have new content for you 6 days a week. We're going to have new interactive videos just like today, twice a week. And I really hope that you explore all the opportunities you have to see what we're providing. And then if you have questions, you can reach out to any of us. You can reach out to any of the ambassadors. We will be having a coaches call every week. Every Tuesday is going to be a coaching crowdcast. So we're going to be covering any subject related to coaching. So Tuesday's the day you want to log on for that. But every day of the week now, except Sunday, we're going to have new content. And I think it's going to be fantastic to interact with you and have your feedback on what we're doing.
Fred, 30-second, what's hot for you? What's going on right now that you're super excited about, and how do people get a hold of you?
I put my email in the chat stream, and I've already got an email through from someone. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, then that's the best way to do it. Currently, what have we got coming up? Girls with Cyberstart. It's a pretty good one. It's definitely not as sandboxy as NCL. It's got a lot more heavy lifting in it, virtual machines and the like. But the girls are champing at that, ready to get involved in that competition. And then once that's out of the way, next season of NCL will be just around the corner. So yeah, it's all go as always. Cyber Patriots done, and you think, and then like, oh, another one! Yay! Time to get enthusiastic again. More snacks.
Thank you. And actually, I wanted to take time to acknowledge one more comment from Aaron. I'm not going to attempt your last name, I promise. He asked, is about video tutorials for coaching, how the coaches sign up, how students sign up, how to explore through the actual NCL portal, and then basically how you compete. And I know that that's definitely a target of a future series. So I want to definitely invite you, Aaron, to tune back in. And we love feedback like that. We can definitely we can limit the focus of these shows down to what your feedback is. What we don't have a script that we're running off of that says we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. Very much we want this to be dynamic back and forth. As you give us questions, we're able to address those and even change our content to what the real need of the community is. I think a real strong coach will always look for other strong coaches, because all of us can get better. And as we observe each other and communicate, I think that we pick up more and more tips. And it's our students that ultimately are the victors of that interchange. So I want to take another second to thank everyone for tuning in. And I'll just close out with I'm John Mako McGill. You can reach out to me. I'm a lead player ambassador for NCL. You can reach me through Twitter. I'm at Mako McGill. You can reach me on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm also john.mako.mcgill. And if you really need to get a hold of me, then you can always pop into one of these crowdcasts, because I'll be here as much as I can. So I wanted to, again, just thanks to Dan for taking the time out to be here, and Fred. We're really we're really grateful to have you, and really looking forward to continuing on with the series. So this has been National Cyber League, and we appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.